Now, can Time Magazine credits you with the fundamental insight that really transformed the internet into the world's biggest marketplace? How did you recognize the commercial value of clicks?
Well, that's a good question. Um, and I don't want to tell people get the book to get the answer, but it's actually a long story. Like there were a lot of steps along the way. But it,
Mhm.
it but I'll but the short version is it came down to desperation, uh, because I was in San Francisco in the early '90s, and I saw the internet starting to percolate. The other thing that was happening in San Francisco at the time was digital interactive multimedia. And that was all going to be on CD-ROM. And
Yeah,
if you're of a certain age, you kind of remember that
yeah,
phase. If
no,
you're not, you don't even know what I'm talking about.
Totally.
But but to remind us and to inform people that didn't live through this, in the early '90s, many computer screens at people's homes were black and white. Like we didn't even have color, right? And before Apple came along, well, Apple of course did their Macintosh in '84, um, but even those screens were largely black and white. Um, so the idea of audio coming from your computer, not happening. The
no,
idea of video coming from your computer, not happening. So in the early 1990s in San Francisco, a whole group of people were starting to work on this question of how do we put color? How do we put pictures? How do we, color pictures? How do we put video? How do we put, so that was called multimedia, and that was a big
mhm.
deal. And some people,
Yeah. I remember because I was at Florida State University as an undergrad in '91, and there was a professor. It was over in the communications department, and I was a grad student in accounting, and taking an elective from a professor who this was the new frontier, is really how to organize information in a meaningful way on a CD-ROM.
right.
And that of course 2 years later with the internet, all of that was arcane. But yeah, I remember this very well.
Well, that was in 90, 91, 92, 93 into
Mhm.
94. Even some people stayed too long at the party into 95. That was the focus of San
Exam.
Francisco and of the
Well,
whole high tech community. And there's even a picture, it's quite rare. You don't really see Bill Gates playing the fool in photographs, but he actually, people can look this up on the internet. He staged a photograph where he was lifted up by a crane at the level of the height of a tree in the forest, and there were two stacks of documents as tall as the tree. And his point was all these documents can be stored on a single CD-ROM.
there's a
That's how excited tech was about the CD-ROM in the early 1990s. So I was involved in that.
So if you enjoyed this clip and you'd like to benefit from more monetization secrets, go and register now for Monetization Daily. You can go to monetizationresearch.com to get it. It is a free newsletter that is absolutely awesome. It is delivered to your email inbox, and it contains lots of great monetization tips, tactics, and strategies that you will love. Again, head on over to monetizationresearch.com to get it now.